You know, it is great to be back here at UNI. And by back, I mean I came here as a senior in high school for Model United Nations. And I'm told we did it right in this gym here. That's amazing. I live in Janesville, Wisconsin, about 4 hours due east of here. And so to be back here at the University of Northern Iowa on this campus, all I gotta say is go Panthers. Thank you for your warm hospitality. Thank you for coming out and waiting in line. And thank you, by the way, for these fantastic leaders. Look at this leadership team you have at the state capitol. Look at Governor Terry Branstad. Look at Kim Reynolds. These are fantastic leaders. Look at Chuck Grassley. You know, Senator Grassley and I have known each other a long time. And one of the reasons why I've always liked knowing Chuck Grassley is because it tells me that you can take good, honest, hardworking people from the Midwest to Washington and they can keep their principles. They can keep their identity. That keeps me encouraged. Thank you, Chuck Grassley. Really appreciate that. We've known each other a long time. It just gives me that kind of solace. And also, you can do us a favor and give us Ben Lang in Congress. Now, given that we are big river states, we've had our share of floods. We've had our share of problems. And right now, some of our fellow citizens are experiencing great anxiety and heartache in the Northeast because of Hurricane Sandy. So let's just say an extra prayer today for them. And let's remember that they do need our help, that there are still people who are dealing with the wake of this hurricane, so that if we have a moment, and if we have an extra dollar or two, think about going to redcross.org to give them a donation. People were there for us when our Mississippi and our rivers flooded. Let's be there for them, because that's what Americans do. We come together in time to fight. We all love our country. We especially love what makes our country unique. And what is great about it is every 4 years, we get to decide who is going to lead. We get to decide the shape and the contour and the direction of our nation. This isn't just an ordinary 4-year decision. It's not an ordinary election. You know, it doesn't really matter what generation you come from. This is the most important election in your generation. Because we're making decisions that will not shape us for 4 years, but will shape the kind of people we're going to be, the kind of country we're going to have, the kind of nation we're going to give to our kids and our grandkids for at least a generation. The consequences just could not be greater. So I just got a question. Iowa, you can help us win this thing? Tip it over. We can make the difference right here in Iowa. Look, in 2008, President Obama won our states. A lot of our fellow Iowans and Wisconsinites looked at the message. They looked at hope and change, and it sounded great. And so a lot of people voted for that. The president made a lot of grand promises. He said he'd heal the partisan wounds and bring people together. This is the most partisan time I have seen in Washington. He said that he cut the deficit in half, and I just heard Senator Grassley talk about this. Not only did he not cut the deficit in half, he doubled it. $1 trillion deficit each and every year. He said he'd get America working again. He came into office with one-party rule. Let's never forget that the reason the Obama economic agenda failed is not because it was stopped, it's because it passed. Borrowing and spending and all these special interest cronies didn't work. Look at where we are. We just got a jobs report today, the last jobs report before the election. The unemployment rate is higher than it was when he came into office. 23 million Americans are struggling to find work in this country today. 15% of our fellow citizens are living in poverty. That's the highest rate we've seen in a generation. The economy is growing at less than half the rate he said it would if we just passed his spending plan. We are 9 million jobs shy of that. This is not what a real recovery looks like. And in this campaign for another term, he's literally offered nothing different. And if he's reelected, nothing different is exactly what we're going to get. I think this is why he has made this campaign about smaller and smaller things. It's ignoring the moment we are in. He can't run on this record. It's a terrible record. It's a record of joblessness, of anxiety, of lower take-home pay, of more in poverty, of jobs that were promised that were never created. And so that's why you see the division. That's why you see the distortion to try and win by default. Here's what he said 4 years ago. If you don't have any fresh ideas, then you use stale tactics to scare voters. If you do not have a record to run on, then you paint your opponent as someone people should run from. You make a big election about small things. That's precisely what Barack Obama said running for president in 2008. Turn on your TV, and that's exactly what he has become now that he's president. I think that pretty much sums it up. And this is why Mitt Romney and I are campaigning on big ideas, on real reforms for a real recovery. You see, we believe we owe you, our fellow citizens, a real choice. You get to decide, what kind of country do we want to have? What kind of future do we want coming out of great schools like you and I? That's what we owe you. And you know what it takes, first and foremost? It takes leadership. Leadership. That's exactly what we need. One of my favorite historians just recently passed away, a professor named Rufus Spears, one of those books on tape guys. Driving around Wisconsin is not like driving around Iowa. You go a ways before you get to the next town. We do corn, beans, and dairy just like you do right here. And what this professor has said in studying history going back throughout time is that there is a common element, common attributes of leaders that are needed to lead nations at moments of difficulty like the one we face today. A leader needs a moral compass, a bedrock of principles, a vision for the nation, and the proven ability, experience, and skills to actually execute that vision. That is Mitt Romney. The first thing you think about when you see Mitt Romney is this man is a leader. And the problem